So, are you thinking about making that move from Pennsylvania to Delaware? Well, go ahead and get comfortable, grab that cheesesteak, and don't forget the cheese whiz because in this video, that's exactly what I'm going to be going over. I'm going to be talking about the differences between Pennsylvania and Delaware, both the good and the bad. And some of them may not be as obvious as you're thinking. So you're definitely going to want to stick around and watch the whole video. But after watching, what I can promise you is that you'll know whether or not if Delaware is the right state for you. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Brandon Windom, and I help people buy and sell homes here in Delaware. I've lived here my entire life, and on this channel, I talk about what it's like living here in Delaware. And if you're potentially thinking about buying or selling a home here in Delaware, I love to have a conversation to see if it made sense for us to work together. So I'll put my info on screen now and again in the description below. So I've had numerous people reach out about moving to Delaware, and quite a few of them have been from Pennsylvania. So I decided to make this video. Plus, YouTube tells me a lot of you that are watching are from Pennsylvania. So let's get right into it. So let's start off with the most basic human need, and that's shelter or housing. So when I compare home prices, I like to use the median because it kind of stops that from being skewed from the outlier homes that are extremely high or extremely low. So the median home price in Delaware right now is right around $372,000, while in PA it's about $312,000. So that's quite a difference. So guess what? Let's play everyone's favorite game. What does that buy you? So the game is very simple. I'm actually going to look at the my local MLS here and pull up a home in Pennsylvania and Delaware at the median home price and see what it buys. So we know there's so many cities and towns and everything like that, but just to make it equal, let's just use the capital. So let's start off in Harrisburg. So right here in Harrisburg, we got one $315,000. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,700 square feet. And it looks pretty nice. I like that color on the exterior. So it looks like it's a split level home that just got renovated. This first picture here, we got the living room. Then it looks like this next picture here, we got the eating area as well as the kitchen. Next, it looks like we have the master bedroom. Looks pretty decent, as well as the master bathroom as well. We got the dual vanities. Looks really nice. And then it looks like we have one additional bedroom and then the other additional bedroom. And then it stops here with the backyard. Definitely not a bad size at all. Pretty spacious. So now let's hop on down to the capital of Delaware, which is Dover. And we got this 3-bed, 2-bath, about 2,200 square feet. I like it has the nice brick front, and then we have two-car garage. Looks like this is a split level too. This first picture is the main living space. And then we got the kitchen here. Definitely looks a little outdated, so would like to see that updated definitely. And then here we got another angle of the, where you would eat at and the living room and everything from a different angle. Then it looks like this next picture here is the master bedroom. Yeah, looks a little old as well. And then you have the master bathroom, and then it looks like it drops down here to the downstairs area, and you can kind of do whatever you want with this. My vote is a man cave, but obviously you can do whatever you want with it. Even got a little fireplace there. Last two pictures here are just great pictures of the huge backyard, which is a pretty decent size. I mean, I think this says this is almost a half an acre. So yeah, really nice, really big backyard. Now, after seeing those two homes, you may say, well, Brandon, you really didn't convince me. I'd rather be in Pennsylvania. But let me just give you another thing to think about here. But if you were looking at the homes and just basing them off of price, it wouldn't really be telling the whole story, because the other thing we have to take into factor are the property taxes. And that's one of the things that people love here in Delaware. So the property taxes on the house in PA are right around $3,500 a year, while the one in Dover is only about $1,300 a year. So you're talking about double, almost triple the cost. And if we were to break that down by month, the difference between the one in Harrisburg and Dover is almost $200 a month. So that's a pretty sizable difference. I mean, if you ask me, I mean, I could definitely figure out where to put another $200, you know, if I needed to. But again, that's one of the things I've said. I know you heard it probably on other videos, to where, you know, price isn't everything. It's definitely a factor, but you need to take in the whole scope of factors when, you know, deciding to buy a home, whether it's in Pennsylvania or Delaware. So since I've already was talking about taxes, let's just jump right into that. So next thing we'll talk about in comparing are taxes. And I mean, as far as sales tax, this will be pretty straightforward. Here in Delaware, we don't have a sales tax. I mean, if you go to pick some up, you see a tag, it's $2. When you get to the register, $2. You know, pretty straightforward, nothing crazy, no false advertising here. Now in PA, it looks like they have a 6% sales tax, and that can change from, I guess, whatever municipality you're in. But for the most part, they exempt a lot of stuff. So most of your stuff like food from the grocery store, certain clothing and things like that are exempt. So it's not on everything. So, I mean, it's kind of the same. So it's just a little bit of difference. Now let's talk about how much of that hard-earned money you have that you're actually going to be able to take home and keep from Uncle Sam. So with state income tax here in Delaware, it starts at 2.2% for the lowest income earners, and then it goes on a graduated scale all the way up to 6.6% for those highest earners. Now in Pennsylvania, it looks like it's a flat tax rate. It looks like it's 3.07%. And it says that some of the local municipalities could charge an additional tax. So depending on where you live at, that tax may be a little bit higher. So when you compare them, just looking off of that, it looks like, you know, you could potentially save some money depending on how much you make and where exactly you are in Pennsylvania or in Delaware. Then, of course, obviously, we couldn't mention taxes without speaking about the one you probably care about the most, and that's property tax. So here in Delaware, the effective property tax rate is about 0.58%, while in PA, it's 1.58%. So a whole percentage difference. So you might be thinking, like, what does that look like in numbers? Well, we kind of already did it when we were looking at the other homes. They were right around the same price for the most part, and you saw the difference. I mean, one was $1,300 here in Dover, and then the other one in Harrisburg was $3,500 a year. So one tax that I would like to mention that I don't usually mention in my videos, or one that you may not even thinking about or that's really talked about, and that's estate tax. Now, this tax is especially important for me because I have 3 children, and some of which children, you know, everything that I do is for them, and I eventually want to pass on all the wealth that I generate to them. And I mean, so this tax is very important. I mean, I've already paid enough taxes while I'm alive. I don't want to pay one when I eventually pass away. So fortunately here in Delaware, you don't have to worry about that. Uncle Sam keeps his hands out of that. There is no estate tax here in Delaware. But unfortunately, PA is one of the states that do have an estate tax, and it actually ranges. It can be anywhere from as low as 4.5% all the way up to 15%, depending on who exactly the wealth is passing to. And like I said before, I don't know about you, but I think we all pay enough taxes while we're alive. We definitely shouldn't have to pay one when we're passing on that generational wealth to our children or grandchildren or whoever. So it's definitely something you want to keep in mind if you are retirement age or whatever. So the next thing we're going to compare is actually the cost of living. Let's just dive right into the numbers and see what it's going to cost, or compare the differences of day-to-day living. And for that, we're just going to use the cost of living index. It's just a number to where as though they take all the major living expenses like transportation, housing, groceries, entertainment, all that other stuff, put it into a number, and just for reference, the US average is 100. So here in Delaware, the cost of living index is 102.6, so a little bit above the US average of 100. And then when you're looking at Pennsylvania, it's as a state as a whole, it's 99, so a little bit right under the actual US average. But let's take a closer look at those numbers and see exactly where those differences are so you can get a better idea. So if you're a foodie like myself, someone who likes to explore the food scene and, you know, eats out a lot, the cost of restaurants are going to be pretty important to you. And actually here in Delaware, well, comparing it to Pennsylvania, in Pennsylvania, it's going to cost you about 2% more to eat out in Pennsylvania than it would in Delaware. Now, if you are a home chef or a cook, groceries are going to cost you about 5% more in Pennsylvania than they are in Delaware. So you're definitely going to want to be careful with how many eggs you're breaking, because it's going to cost you more in PA. Next is transportation, and that's 4% higher in Pennsylvania than Delaware. But I'm going to just be completely honest, that makes a ton of sense. We really don't have much public transportation around here. Almost everybody has a car and they rely on a car to get around. The public transportation well, I'm not gonna say probably, I know, is way more robust in Pennsylvania, and therefore it's gonna cost a bit more, because ours here is kind of non-existent. Now, if you do have kids, this is actually going to be a category where Delaware is more expensive. So for childcare, it's saying that childcare is going to cost you 26% more in Delaware than it is in Pennsylvania. In this final category, honestly, it's kind of a no contest, but it looks like it's going to be sports and entertainment. And that one is actually going to cost you 26% more in Pennsylvania than Delaware. But the reason why I'm saying this is a no contest is because we don't have any professional major sports teams. It's kind of a no contest here. I mean, you got all types of professional sports teams all in Pennsylvania. And we really don't have too many large-scale venues. A lot of times, if you're going to do that type of things, you're going to go out of state for it. And speaking of entertainment, if you like this video and you want to see more about Delaware, I actually made another video discussing Delaware right here.